coach trying to build my coaching business on social media. What are some things I should or shouldn't do?
Yeah, I'm a terrible person to answer that question. I'm like the last person.
Well, we're a right pair because I was going to say the same thing. Yet we do have some resources, though, don't we? We did. There was a
We do.
wonderful webinar or podcast was with Charlotte. I think it's on Instagram where she talks about scaling up your business on social media, and there's some other
Yeah,
articles too.
well, I'm planning to get into it. I mean, I feel like we have, people now. Coaching Edu is big enough now that we can have people who are, we're talking about what kind of social we put out there as an organization, as a school. I've seen people do it. I'm just not on it. I um, I understand its value, its importance. I don't know. I want to be in that space, and I hope to be. There are some things. It's just too challenging right now for me to spend time in that space, and I know that's not a great excuse for it, but and I need to show up in certain ways. So I don't know. I think it feels like a very level one type. It brings me to a very like me me centered space. I don't know. I did not build it on social. I think the best thing about social, as I understand it, is I think people check it out to get an idea of who you are as your brand. I think that for me, when I was building this, my client practice, this was mostly between 2005 and 2012, when there was social. I mean, there was social around in those years. It was very much of how can I provide value and get to the one-on-ones with people. And I think that there is a lot of value in connecting with influencers, connecting with people who are in this space and seeing where the edges of the knowledge are. And that's our plan. That has been what I've been doing the last couple of weeks. It's fascinating. I've learned a lot too. That's my answer.
And I would just add to that, I've talked about this before. You probably listen back to a different podcast if you're listening in on this. I've been there, done that. I spent a lot of time on it. So my tips would be, really think about what you're using it for. Don't let it over consume you. It can be a lot of pressure. You can fall into fear and comparison. And sometimes you got to think outside the box. If you're a new coach and you're launching your business and you think the only way to get word out there is social media, it isn't. Sometimes I'm old school, and I've talked about leveraging connections, and sometimes you got to pick up the phone or think about networking or an event you can go to. And I've worked with a lot of coaches who are transitioning out of employment, or they left work, and you've got connections. There's people that you can speak to and pick up the phone to. Especially when I'm thinking about wellness and executive coaching. I do a lot of work with organizations. Organizations are looking for coaches all the time for offers, especially now more than ever. So I encourage people to think outside the box and also ask yourself the question, what are you using social media for? And this sounds a bit dark, and since it can be a bit soul destroying if you are just using it desperately just to be finding clients, I think there is value in it for presence. I know some coaches who use it wonderfully because they do have a different kind of niche, or they're the only coach around. I work with coaches who are like in Japan, for example, and people that have moved to Japan, and they're supporting them. So it's not that it can't work, but I encourage people to think about other avenues and not just put your heart and soul into that one route. I learned the hard way, and I'm glad for it because I am where I am now. But yeah, don't become so obsessed with that scroll.